Has she not noticed yet?
Not at all. She even went to work today.
Seriously, she's so clueless.
When I left work early due to feeling sick and came home, I found my husband Matt and my best friend Abigail in my bed. They hadn't noticed me. So I filmed it and sent the video to Abigail's husband, Rick. Rick and I were classmates back in college. We made a plan together.
If we're going to do this, we might as well mess with them.
At Rick's suggestion, we pulled a little prank on them. Watching Matt and Abigail freak out was hilarious. When I finally confronted them about divorce, the real reason Abigail had gotten close to Matt came to light. The ridiculousness of it all erased any attachment I had left in me. My name is Julie Brown, and I'm 28 years old. I've been married for 2 years. My husband's name is Matt Brown, and he's the same age as me. We met in college through a travel club. It was a group that went on trips whenever we had the time. But we were just college students, so we didn't have much money. Naturally, that meant we traveled on a tight budget, always renting cars to get around. I often ended up in the same car as Matt. Later, I found out that it was all arranged. Apparently, it was well known among the guys that Matt had a crush on me. I had no idea for 4 whole years. We really do always end up in the same car, huh?
Yeah, we do.
I'm sorry I can't help with driving since I'm so bad at it.
No need to apologize. I actually like driving.
I liked Matt's kindness. But at the time, I didn't know if it was love or just friendship. In the end, we never started dating during our 4 years in college. After graduation, just as I was finishing my first year of working, we had a reunion with the club members. That's when I saw Matt again, and we realized our offices were close to each other, so we started hanging out. After our 3rd time eating together, he confessed to me.
I've actually liked you since freshman year.
I remember feeling so happy when I heard those words. That's when I realized I had feelings for Matt too. And so, we began dating. The first person I told about our relationship was my best friend, Abigail. Abigail knew Matt from the club. She had always been sort of idolized within our club, very popular, and so she always had a boyfriend. But she never dated anyone from the club.
I don't want things to get awkward in the club if I break up with someone.
That's what she always said. It made sense considering it was a travel club, and things could get uncomfortable with an ex around. Isn't it awkward having so many exes at college?
I can just ignore them. But in the club, that wouldn't be possible.
I was happy that Abigail valued our time together in the club. We became friends after sitting next to each other at the freshman orientation. She was beautiful and outgoing, someone I admired. Our friendship continued even after college, and we often met up.
Wait, Matt? No way.
Abigail was surprised but happy for me. He told me he's liked me since freshman year. When I shared that, Abigail looked shocked.
Wait, since freshman year? Really?
I thought she'd be more excited for me, so her reaction threw me off.
So, are you serious about this? Julie, are you really okay with it?
Huh? Of course. I mean, he's so kind, and I really like him. What's this uneasy feeling? I knew Abigail had just gotten engaged, so I figured she might be having cold feet and convinced myself that was the reason before hanging up. Abigail had gotten engaged to a classmate she started dating in senior year. It was someone she had always said she was in love with.
I just want to get married fast so I don't have to work anymore and can be a stay-at-home wife.
She said things like that. I thought she was half joking, but it turns out she was serious. Abigail actually quit her jobs once the engagement was official. A little while later, Abigail made a suggestion.
Why don't we get Matt and my husband together for a double date? They went to the same college after all.
Abigail's husband's name is Rick. Rick and I were friends since we were in the same seminar. Matt didn't know Rick. That sounds great. I'll ask Matt. The dinner was arranged quickly. Abigail was very proactive in making it happen. Usually, she wasn't one to take charge, but this time, she seemed excited about it. I was relieved, thinking she had finally gotten over her cold feet. But that dinner was when cracks began to form between Abigail and me. At first, Matt and I surprised Abigail and Rick with a little celebration for their engagement. I wanted to make the night all about them, but Abigail quickly brushed off the attention.
Thanks, but I really want to hear about you too.
I started feeling uneasy, wondering if she wasn't all that happy about her engagement. She didn't even look at the present we gave them, just tossed it aside and started asking all sorts of questions about Matt and me, like how our dates were going and what Matt liked about me. Some of her questions were hard to answer, and even Rick had to step in. Abigail, are you drunk?
I'm not drunk at all. Oh, by the way, Matt, want to know a secret about Julie?
I started getting nervous about what she was going to say.
Julie was totally unpopular in college, so she sucked up to one of our professors in his 50s.
Wait, seriously?
Totally. Isn't that crazy? That's the only attention she could get back then.
I wasn't sucking up to anyone.
Oh, come on. You were literally sitting on his lap.
What? What are you talking about?
Matt looked at me with a disapproving stare, and it made me anxious. No, that's not true. I tripped and fell on his lap. Everyone thought it was hilarious.
Oh yeah, I remember seeing that. You're such a klutz.
Rick chimed in, helping ease the tension, and the story eventually became a funny memory. But even after that, Abigail kept bringing up girls I didn't like much, and also exaggerated a lot of the things she was talking about.
Remember that girl you complained about every day?
Huh? Wasn't that you, Abigail?
Cut it out. Don't blame me for things you said.
The atmosphere kept getting worse and worse. Matt looked at me with sad eyes. That's not how it was. I couldn't understand why Abigail would say things to put me down like that. We ended the night on an awkward note. On the way home, I desperately tried to explain myself to Matt.
You don't have to be so defensive. Everyone badmouths people sometimes.
Matt was smiling, but I could tell he had mixed feelings inside. But Abigail was the one saying most of it.
Hey, stop. It's not cool to bring it up now after you didn't say anything at the time.
I couldn't say a word. I knew things were slipping out of my control. A little while later, Abigail and Rick's wedding took place. Matt and I were both invited. Abigail looked stunning at the wedding, but I couldn't bring myself to smile. 6 months after Abigail's wedding, Matt proposed to me. By that time, I had completely forgotten about everything Abigail had said. I was on cloud 9. Of course, I sent Abigail a wedding invitation and told her the news. We hadn't been in touch much since her wedding, so I was a little nervous, but Abigail was happy for me.
Congrats. I'm really looking forward to the wedding.
I thought Abigail had forgotten all about what happened too. So I made a promise to myself to forget it as well. Before the wedding, I waited for Abigail, but she never showed up. Some friends said they saw her a while ago, but she didn't come to the bridal suite. I didn't think too much of it because not every friend comes to visit the bride before the ceremony. But then, Matt wasn't showing up either. The staff went to look for him, but they couldn't find him. As the ceremony time approached, I headed to the venue alone. Matt was already there, and Abigail was standing right next to him. I felt a knot in my stomach. Why are they together? Maybe it's just because they're friends, I told myself. But they were standing way too close. I forced a smile and spoke to them. Matt, you're already all set, huh? Abigail, I was waiting for you in the suite. Matt looked at me with a nervous, fidgety expression.
Wow, Julie, you look stunning, right, Maddie?
Maddie? Abigail had always called him by his first name before. When did they get on such familiar terms?
We got caught up chatting, and I totally forgot to come see you.
Abigail said with a carefree laugh. Here I was, about to get married, and I felt my face freeze into an awkward smile. After the wedding, Matt and I had a fight right away. Can you stop being so close to Abigail?
What? Why? Abby's your best friend, isn't she?
Even Matt was calling her by a nickname now. Why are you calling her by a nickname? Matt let out a big sigh.
We're friends. What's the problem?
Abigail knows how to get attention from guys. She knows exactly how to play it.
Don't talk about your best friend like that. You're really showing your true colors, aren't you? It's a wonder Abby even stayed friends with you.
I was shocked. I could imagine Abigail filling Matt's head with all sorts of things when I wasn't around. Anger took over, and I snapped back with words I didn't mean to say. So, you regret marrying me, huh?
Maybe.
I wanted him to deny it. I wanted him to tell me that wasn't true. It was right after the wedding. If things stay like this, I feel like it will linger forever. Our marriage had gotten off to a terrible start. I didn't want to fight with Matt, so I stopped digging for more and let the uneasy feeling fester. After we got married, I left my job and started working part-time at the same company. I was assigned to a store, mostly working in customer service. Because I had been a full-time employee before, I was trusted with many tasks, and it kept me busy. Still, I always made sure to get home before Matt, and I did all the housework by myself. I was so busy that I completely forgot about Abigail. Or rather, I kept myself busy so I wouldn't have to think about her. In truth, I was convincing myself that our marriage was going well. Then one day, I pushed myself too hard and ended up sick. But we were short-staffed at work, so I couldn't take time off. I forced myself to go to work. Instead, I started cutting corners at home. It wasn't much, I just bought pre-made meals and let the laundry pile up a little. But Matt wouldn't let it slide.
Why isn't this laundry done? I need it for tomorrow.
Sorry, I didn't realize you needed it.
Can you at least take care of the house properly? I'm working hard, and I don't want to come home to some half-effort meal.
Then he just walked out. I had already told him I wasn't feeling well. But instead of showing any concern, Matt expected me to keep up with perfect housework. Where had the kind Matt gone? I never thought marriage would be this hard. Even though I still felt awful, I dragged myself to work. When my manager saw how pale and weak I looked, he told me to go home and rest. He assured me that since the store was relatively quiet, they could handle things without me for a day. Honestly, I thought things would get busier later, but I knew if I didn't rest, I might collapse and cause more trouble. So I accepted his kindness and left. I went straight to the hospital, got some medication, and since I couldn't bear how terrible I felt, I stopped at a cafe for a light meal and took the medicine. Then I headed home. As I approached the house, I noticed that the curtains in the bedroom were closed. I was sure I had opened them that morning, so it struck me as odd. Could it be a burglar? I started to panic and almost called the police, but then I remembered how sick I'd been and figured I probably just forgot to open them. Still, I entered the house quietly, just in case. That's when I heard a woman's voice. That voice. I peeked through the slightly open bedroom door and saw Abigail straddling Matt. They were in the middle of it. My mind went completely blank. Why are Matt and Abigail together? How long had they been like this? As I sat in shock, I overheard their conversation.
Has she not noticed yet?
Not at all. She's gone to work, just as usual.
Seriously, she's so clueless.
Yeah, I can't believe she married me without even knowing I've been with you this whole time. Her head's totally in the clouds.
From their conversation, I realized they'd been involved long before the wedding. But then why did Matt marry me?
If only I had started dating you sooner, we could have gotten married.
Right? Totally.
Aren't you going to leave Rick?
No way. I love the thrill of having an affair.
Their conversation made me feel like I was going to be sick. I was furious. I took out my phone and pointed the camera at them. I decided to secretly film their actions. Neither Matt nor Abigail noticed me at all. They were too absorbed in each other. I recorded them for a full hour. Their conversations often included mocking remarks about me and Rick.
Rick has no idea his wife's in another man's house in the middle of the day.
He's just at work, totally clueless.
I couldn't take it anymore and stepped outside, feeling nauseous. Rick was my friend. It made me sick to hear my friend being talked about like that. I sent Rick a portion of the video. Despite feeling feverish and dizzy, my head started to clear. Whether it was the medicine kicking in or the rush of adrenaline from my anger, I wasn't sure. I began thinking about what to do next. Should I confront them now or wait? As I was contemplating, Rick called me.
So, they were cheating after all.
You knew? We decided to meet up. Don't you need to get back to work?
No, they know I'm leaving early. This is a rare opportunity.
Rick told me to meet him at a certain bar. It was one of the places where Matt and Abigail often met up. You've already figured that out?
Yeah, it's always this place.
Apparently, Rick had been investigating them for quite some time, and the evidence he gathered was solid. He even had several photos of them enjoying their affair.
Before we confront them, let's have a little fun with them.
What do you mean?
You'll see.
After a while, Matt and Abigail actually showed up. I was nervous that they'd see us, but from our spot, we could see them clearly, and they couldn't see us.
This table is perfect for keeping an eye on them.
Rick was full of confidence. He seemed to be enjoying himself a bit too. Since I was so shaken, Rick's confidence felt reassuring. Once he saw that Matt and Abigail had sat down, Rick called Abigail.
Hey, Abigail, where are you right now?
Huh? Right now? I'm at the grocery store near the house.
Perfect. I'm heading home soon, so I'll pick you up.
What? No, you don't need to.
Come on, I'll help you with the shopping for once.
I could hear the panic in Abigail's voice.
Oh no, Rick's coming home.
Wait, seriously?
I couldn't help but laugh. Rick flashed a mischievous grin too. I never knew this side of Rick existed. He had always been the most popular guy in class. And when I heard he was dating Abigail, it had shocked all the girls.
You should do it too, Julie.
So I followed his lead and called Matt. Matt, where are you right now?
Where? At work, of course.
It sounds pretty noisy there.
I'm in a meeting.
The meeting excuse was way too far-fetched. Matt must have realized he had slipped up at this point. I could see his expression clearly from where I was. Okay. Well, I'm standing right outside your office. Let's go home together.
What? I'll be done late today. so just head home without me.
Really? Oh, but I see one of your coworkers. I'll go say hi.
Hey, wait.
I hung up after that. Both Matt and Abigail started to panic, and Rick and I watched, amused. As they rushed outside, we stepped in front of them and caught them in the act. They froze, completely speechless, when they saw us standing there. Wait, weren't you at work?
Did you warp here from the grocery store?
Did you guys trick us?
How could you do that?
Ignoring their own infidelity, Abigail and Matt began accusing us of lying to them. Who's the real liar here? You're the ones having an affair.
An affair? What are you even talking about?
We know everything. Rick nodded in agreement. Seeing this, Abigail's face turned bright red, and she started shouting at me.
Rick is supposed to be at work, isn't he? Julie, you manipulated him, didn't you?
If anything, I'm the one who told Julie to come here.
Rick, are you seriously defending her?
Abigail was trembling with rage, furious that Rick and I had teamed up. Don't try to change the subject. You're the one who stole my husband.
That's right. We know you've been cheating. That's what we're talking about right now.
No, you've got it wrong. We're not like that at all. Actually, I was just asking Matt for some advice.
Abigail suddenly switched from calling Matt by his nickname to using his full name. I couldn't help but roll my eyes at how she only used the nickname in front of me and Matt, but reverted to formality in front of Rick. Wait a second, didn't you call him Matty in front of me? Why the sudden change to Matt? I made it clear that I knew all about their affair, but they both continued to deny it, insisting they were just friends. So I decided to show them the video I had just recorded.
What's this? When did you even record this?
Is this from a hidden camera or something?
Obviously not, it's shaky, which means I filmed it myself. They didn't realize the footage was from today, which made it clear that Abigail had been coming over for a while now. The thought that they had been doing this every day in the bed where I slept made me feel sick. I'm going to divorce Matt.
I'm divorcing Abigail too. After that, the two of you can do whatever you want.
Their reactions couldn't have been more different. Matt looked thrilled, while Abigail broke down in tears.
Abby, we did it. Now we can finally get married.
What are you talking about? I don't want to leave Rick.
What?
Matt looked completely bewildered by what Abigail had just said.
Hey, what are you talking about? You said you wanted to marry me. You told me Rick wouldn't divorce you.
Shut up. Just be quiet.
Abigail then turned to Rick, practically begging for forgiveness.
Rick, I'm so sorry. You're the only one I love.
Did I ever say I didn't want a divorce?
That's just something Matt made up. He lives in his own little fantasy world. I was scared of him.
Hey, what the hell is that? Don't make stuff up.
Abigail started spouting lies that were so obvious, it was clear she was just trying to cover herself. It made me want to ask, who's really living in a fantasy world here?
Doesn't this video make it look like you're having fun?
This video is different. I was forced by Matt.
What? What are you talking about? You're the one who said you wanted to sleep in Julie's bed because it made things more exciting.
Now it all made sense. Abigail didn't love Matt, she just wanted to feel like she was winning over me. And she believed she could. A memory flashed through my mind. There was a couple among our college classmates. They were perfect for each other, and anyone could see how happy they were. But a month later, the guy was dating Abigail. The girl was devastated, crying her heart out. When I asked Abigail if she had stolen him, she said,
He came to me. He begged me to date him for just a week, so I did. But it's over now.
At the time, I thought it was just the guy's fault. But looking back, this kind of thing must have happened all the time. Now that I was the one involved, I finally understood. Abigail couldn't stand seeing other people happy. You've never liked Matt, have you, Abigail?
Of course not. I've only ever loved Rick.
What? Are you serious? You came on to me first.
As I suspected, Abigail had been the one to make the first move. According to Matt, the day after the four of us had dinner, Abigail contacted him, saying she had something to discuss. She pretended to be concerned about me, but it was all lies meant to bring me down.
Julie is actually a huge flirt, you know. Guys easily get the wrong idea about her. I'm really worried that one day someone's going to snap.
Huh? I've never seen her act like that.
She's different around men than she is around women. She's really good at playing a role.
I had no idea.
I was shocked that Matt would believe such things so easily. Matt, weren't you in love with me for years? And now you just trust Abigail's words without a second thought? I'm disappointed.
I didn't believe her at first, but Abby kept showing up in front of me.
What? You're saying you didn't ask to meet me?
That was much later.
Realizing we weren't getting anywhere, we agreed to talk it out another day. I didn't want to breathe the same air as Matt, so I decided to stay at my parents' house. But Matt insisted we needed to talk. You expect me to sleep in the bed you two used? Matt turned pale at that. It seemed he finally understood what he had done.
I'm so sorry. I've done something I can never take back.
By the way, I filmed that video today.
What?
Matt, of all things, started crying on the street. Watching his pathetic display, I felt all my feelings for him vanish. Whatever. I'm not going back to that house. I'm divorcing you.
No. Please wait. Think it over.
You betrayed me before we even got married. Do you really think we can start over? Besides, weren't you just happy about the idea of divorcing me earlier?
That was because Abby tricked me. I understand how important you are now.
I was growing more and more furious at how Matt could flip-flop so easily.
This was all just a game. It wasn't real.
That was it. That was the line that pushed me over the edge. A game. Don't you dare joke about this. You made me waste over 2 years of my life for your little game. Give me back my time. I realized I was shouting too loudly in a public place. A crowd had gathered, watching us. Matt, still crying, begged for forgiveness, but I ignored him. I left him there, surrounded by people staring at him. A few days later, both Rick and I hired lawyers and prepared for the divorce proceedings. Neither of us had any intention of staying with them. We had plenty of evidence to demand compensation, and we planned to do just that. Abigail must have been crying for a long time. Her eyes were swollen and completely red. I knew she truly loved Rick. When they first started dating, she eagerly shared the news with me. That's why she didn't want the divorce. Plus, her pride wouldn't allow her to accept the idea of being divorced.
I still love Rick more than anyone else. I don't want to lose him.
If she really felt that way, she shouldn't have had an affair in the first place. Very stupid. She couldn't stand seeing others happy, so she went after her best friend's husband. It was pure madness. Losing someone she truly loved because of her fragile pride? I had no sympathy for her.
You just wanted to beat Julie, didn't you? But here's the truth. You lost to her from the start.
Abigail bit her lip and grimaced.
Back in college, it wasn't you who was popular with the guys, it was Julie.
I was surprised, as it was the first time I'd heard something like that.
You probably thought being around Julie would make you more popular, didn't you? What a delusional fool.
I had gone to an all-girls school until high school, so no one had ever told me I was popular with guys. Now that I think about it, Abigail had made me believe I wasn't. Her claim that she was the pretty and popular one? I'd only ever heard that from Abigail herself. Now, as I looked at her closely, she wasn't even that beautiful. It was like a filter had been lifted. Maybe it was a form of mind control. Abigail looked at me.
Stop looking at me like I'm some kind of pathetic loser.
But aren't you?
What did you say?
Abigail lunged at me, but Rick immediately stepped between us. A bit late, Matt also moved to protect me.
Why are both of you defending her? You've been fooled by that woman.
You're the one who's been fooling people.
I'm a princess.
Abigail screamed, leaving us all speechless. That must have been her true self. Abigail wanted to believe she was some kind of princess, always at the center of attention.
It's not fair that Julie gets to be protected by the guys.
She sobbed. Our lawyer, observing the situation, suggested that Abigail seek psychiatric help.
I'm not crazy.
It's not about that. It's important to take some time to reflect on what you've been doing. Of course, Abigail wouldn't listen to me, so we left it to her parents to handle. For now, we decided to continue our discussions through our lawyers, and the four of us ended up getting divorced. Life was peaceful after the divorce. I enjoyed being single for a while. I still saw Rick from time to time. That was quite a mess back then, huh?
Yeah, but I feel so relieved now.
We were finally able to laugh about it. One day, on my way home after meeting Rick, Matt appeared in front of me, looking thin and worn out. What are you doing here?
I've realized how important you are, Julie. I want to start over.
Sorry, but that's impossible.
Why? I promise I'll make you happy this time.
How? You were cheating on me even before we got married.
I know, and I regret it.
That day, I stood there for an hour, filming you two. I watched everything. Matt fell silent. That's why it's impossible. Every time I see you, that's all I remember. Please don't come near me again. Seeing Matt just made me angry. I wanted to get the rest of the settlement money and cut ties with him for good. And I had another reason. I'm dating someone seriously now, and we're talking about marriage.
What? No way.
I had been seeing the manager at my workplace. After the divorce, he was the one who had been there for me the most. The night I discovered Matt and Abigail together, I fainted at my parents' house. I was taken to the hospital by ambulance and put on an IV drip. It was just a bad case of the flu, nothing serious. If anything, it was likely the overwhelming stress that caused it. I didn't need to be hospitalized, but I decided to take time off from work. It was partly for my health, but also because of the divorce proceedings. When I told my manager, he was so concerned that he visited me at my parents' house. Even though I had caused so much trouble at work, he didn't complain once and stayed by my side. I think I can trust him. If I ever remarry, it'll be with him.
Don't say that. I've known you for so long. I'm the one who understands you best.
Looking back, we never spent time together outside of our college club. I didn't know anything about Matt when we got married. I didn't even realize he was cheating on me the whole time.
You don't know what this guy might be doing behind your back either.
Maybe, but I trust him more than I trust you. When I said that, Matt looked deeply hurt.
I was tricked. It wasn't my fault.
Abigail is to blame, but so are you.
I genuinely loved you. but she got into my head.
And you chose to believe her. Even after that, Matt kept showing up, trying to make things right. My manager became concerned and suggested we contact the police. The police acted quickly, and Matt was legally prohibited from approaching me. We also informed Matt's parents, who promised to keep an eye on him. After that, Matt stopped coming around. Not long after, I received the rest of the alimony in one lump sum. It seemed Matt's parents had covered it. Instead, Matt ended up working under his parents' supervision. In addition to his day job, he had to take on a night job as well, and all his earnings were managed by his parents. When the alimony was transferred, Matt's mother said, "Even though he's my son, he'll have to pay it back." Abigail, on the other hand, kept showing up in Rick's life. Rick had started seeing someone, although they weren't officially dating yet. It seems Abigail showed up during Rick's dinner with that woman. Abigail, her face a mess of tears and snot, threw water on Rick's date.
You homewrecker.
What are you doing?
Naturally, Rick was worried about the woman, which only made Abigail angrier. She tried to grab her, causing a scene at the restaurant. The police were called, and Abigail was taken away. Rick also reported her to the police as a stalker. Abigail was so shocked by this that she became reclusive, staying inside her home. Her family started taking her to a psychiatrist, and she's now receiving treatment.
I can't bear to see Rick with another woman.
Apparently, she's been crying about him constantly during her sessions. She even sent Rick a letter asking him to visit her, but he politely declined through her parents. When Abigail found out, she became even more unstable, devastated that he wouldn't see her or respond. It seems she'll need to be hospitalized soon. Her parents have said they can't handle her anymore. Finally, the chaos died down, and I was able to focus on my relationship with my manager. I still hadn't fully regained my trust in men and found myself being a bit clingy. But my manager kindly accepted that with a smile and continued talking with me until my anxieties were eased. I'm still afraid of taking the step toward marriage. But with him, I feel like it might be okay to believe in that kind of future. Rick and I remained on good terms. When I introduced him to my manager, he was happy for me. To my surprise, Rick owned a business, and since my manager had dreams of opening his own restaurant, the two hit it off. There was about a 5-year age difference between them, but they hit it off talking about work.
Please come visit my company sometime.
They even made that kind of promise. Afterward, Rick quietly told me,
I think he's a great guy.
"I agree. This time, I'm determined to make decisions based on my own judgment, not on the influence of others."